The Dershow.
The vast majority of Americans want meritocracy. By the way, you won't hear that word mentioned at the Democratic National Convention because it's not popular. The closest you get to it is an idiotic statement of the kind made by Majority Leader Schumer, saying essentially, we want the Senate to look like America. We want it to be 13% black, so-and-so percent Asian, so-and-so percent. No, that's not the way we want it. That's the way it was in Tsarist Russia. That's the way it was in communist Soviet Union. Quotas on everything. Everything has to reflect the ethnicity of the country. During the Tsarist period, every ethnic group was assigned a quota at universities the size of their proportion of the population. And of course, Jews were excluded from the universities. That's why they became violinists. That's why they became computer experts in their own garages. That's why they became great chess players. They excelled at things that you didn't need to fit the quotas. Nobody ever said there was going to be a quota for chess players or for violinists. For years, when you tried out for various symphonies, Boston Symphony, New York Symphony, you tried out behind a screen. So nobody knew whether you were a man or a woman or black or white or tall or short. They all only knew how you played the violin. That's changing. And I have to tell you, the orchestras are getting less good as a result of it because they're turning down more qualified violinists in favor of having a quota system. Some of the orchestras haven't bought that, and they're better orchestras. People often ask me who manages my social media reels, and it's a company called View, V-I-E-W, Movement. View Movement. They've done great work for me. I have to tell you, they've really, really been terrific, and they've boosted my viewership. So if you're looking to boost your own social media presence with short form videos, use the code Dershow, capital, all caps, DERSHOW, to save 15% on your service with them. And if you want to see more about this, you can see it in the link in the description below. For it. Again, not so important how good the orchestras were. For me, the test is your pilots and your surgeons. If you want your pilots and your surgeons to be picked based on anything other than meritocracy, raise your hands. The only hands that will go up will be the hands of hypocrites. I love to tell the story that when I needed some particularly delicate medical procedure, I asked around for the most qualified doctor in the entire New York City or Northeast region. I would have gone up to Boston. I wanted the best doctor, and everybody gave me the same name. And I'm not going to mention the name now, but his first name was Carl, and he was a great, great doctor, and everybody gave the same name. I assumed he was a 6'2" white Anglo-Saxon, white Protestant Brahmin who had, been born in some fancy neighborhood. And Carl walks in, and he's a 5'6" kid from Brooklyn with a thick Brooklyn accent, and he's black. And I was so thrilled to have the best surgeon. And, he performed the procedure wonderfully. And I said, I want him every time. I don't care what his race is or his religion or how tall he is or how charming he is. I mean, I've always said, if I needed a doctor, if I had to be rushed to the emergency room and I woke up and I saw the doctor, what I would like is the ugliest guy, the guy with the worst spoken, because I know he made it on the merits. Nobody's going to pick him because of his charm. The last thing I ever want is a handsome, charming doctor who I worry may have been picked because of his charm and his handsomeness. Meritocracy. That's the secret of American success. And that's the secret of the diminution of universities in America. We will not be a great nation with great universities until we dismantle DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. MIT sent out a notice today saying, as the result of the Supreme Court decision, our first-year class is less diverse. Bullshit. That class, if they followed the Supreme Court decision, is far more diverse. What they mean is it has fewer black people who are wealthy and privileged and successful because they're not being picked on color. They're being picked on accomplishments. So I guarantee you that if they followed the Supreme Court decision, the class at MIT is much more diverse economically, much more diverse philosophically, ideologically, politically, meritocratically, except it may be a little less diverse racially, but only because it doesn't take as many wealthy, privileged people of color who have no basis on meritocracy for coming in. If they're meritocratically admitted, fine, that's great. And they'll be admitted. Nobody's going to discriminate against Black people for admission at any university, but they're not going to be given a privileged status in admission just because of their color. That's what the Supreme Court said. And MIT, if you follow those instructions, your class will be more, not less meritocratic. So don't misuse the word diversity. Say what you mean. Under the Supreme Court decision, there are now fewer people of color, fewer African Americans, fewer Black people in the class. But we have more poor people. We have more people from the Ozark Mountains. We have more people from the Deep South. We have more people who are against gun control. We have more people who are against choice on abortions. We have more Christians. We have more Orthodox Jews. Yeah, we're much more diverse. But if you look at the class in a photograph, you see fewer faces of color. That's not what diversity is about only. Diversity includes, obviously, all factors, including race, but it's not limited to race. So don't lie to us, MIT, and tell us the class is less diverse. Tell us the class is less Black, and then tell us about the class, and we'll decide if it's more diverse or not. We'll decide whether you have more conservatives in the class, more people who have different points of view in the class. I guarantee you that if you follow the Supreme Court's decision, you will have greater, not lesser, diversity.